brothers and sisters, very dear students, boys and girls, and very dear children. Sister Nagaratna has touched upon a issue which depicts the magnanimity of Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. How is it related? She touched upon a very important right of human beings. We have all kinds of rights, fundamental rights ensured in the Constitution. Right to education, right to food, right to nutrition, right to practice religion. She talked about right to live for God. So this is an important right and the most precious right of every human being, which unfortunately to which very small percentage of human beings wake up to. Right to live for God. And she also mentioned that in Indian society, say in Christian society, when a boy or girl decide to live for God, they are encouraged by the parents. Whereas in our society, the Hindu society and a few other societies, maybe boys have some freedom. See, they also don't have complete freedom, but girls do not have this right at all, right to live for God. If a young woman decides to live for God, her path is not a bed of roses. She has to face many challenges, hurdles, obstacles, and most women not having the grit, the courage, they give up. And what Sadguru is doing, that's what she mentioned, empowerment of women and elimination of gender inequality. In this aspect, right to education, right to food, right to employment, we call Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai as a global champion of women empowerment. But she went one step forward. What Sadguru is doing in his mission is, he is restoring to the girl child, he is restoring to young women the fundamental right to live for God. If you choose to, it can't be enforced. But if some young woman among our students, and many of them have chosen this path, and for them it is so very easy. You get into this institution in 6th class, pass 10th class, pass 12th class, get into university, finish your graduation, complete your post-graduation, immediately you are given a job, you can stand on your own feet and you can support your parents also. Parents also know, or parents also feel that my daughter, my child being a daughter is not a disadvantage. Like my son would look after me, financially support me, my daughter is also doing. In fact, daughters generally do more than sons. This is my experience looking at our own families, many of the families. And if that girl child, that woman, young woman who has completed 25 years, she has the right to choose to live for God. If you're not in this institution, you can't really utilize that right. Here it is so very easy. You decide, I want to live for God. I don't want to live for the world. And here is the wonderful shelter created by Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. You can lead the happiest of lives, most blissful life you can lead, because right to live for God is fundamental. Nobody can come between you and God. When father tried to come between Prahalada and his father, the son had the right to give up the father, and he became the cause for the death of his father. When Bharata thought that his mother Kaikeyi was coming between him and Rama, God, he gave up mother. See, here this is the highest dharma. You can give up anybody if somebody comes between you and God, whoever it is. Vibhishana gave up his brother when Ravana came between him and God. Meera gave up her husband when husband came in between her and God. So nobody has the right to come between you and God. Therefore, the fundamental right to which most of the human beings unfortunately don't wake up. Right to live for God is the greatest right that God has given to man and woman. And creating gender equality in this aspect is path-breaking initiative of Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, which was never there in any Hindu society. So this is a very important thing. Girls will understand it. And I think you will appreciate it, and also you will utilize this right to live for God. It is not given to everybody. Right to live for God. And utilizing that right to live for God is given to very chosen people. And you are all very chosen. This right is there even for boys and girls. Even for boys, it is not that easy in Hindu societies. But it's slightly easier when we listen to the story of Nagaratna. And our boys, graduates and postgraduates, engineers, accountants, administrators, our students who are recruited in Mudinalli, the projects, engineering projects. So they had this privilege of attending this very, very inspiring and very unique sessions where Swami spoke his heart out, actually. You can't see Swami expressing himself so very freely, so very freely. And also 10 heads of the departments who spoke, including Nagaratna. And we had say, external excellence is one thing. That is, you become more competent in doing your job. From efficiency, you rise to excellence. That is all right. Individuals. And what Swami did, what Sadguru did for them to lift them up to heights of divinity itself. The perfect fidelity of a good mirror is it will not show anything else other than the person who stands before it, nothing else. It is absolutely loyal, who reflect me. Therefore, in a way, they have become myself, divinity itself. And did it happen in a day? Over 10 years, what will happen? You see only distorted versions. And Swami said, you're all reflecting me. If you don't reflect perfectly, and they look at me and people will laugh at me, I become a laughing stock. See, that is why I'm polishing you, he said. And it was all appreciation for these 10 heads of departments, and which comes from surrender and surrender alone, because when you become an instrument in the hands of God, effortlessly you do things which you couldn't have imagined. You become a perfect mirror. That is why Vidyaranya said, Jnanina charitum sakyam samyag rajyadi laukikam. Only a jnani, a man of spiritual wisdom. And I was so very touched. I am connected to Swami. These 10 people, how they have turned out to be perfect, and they are an Instik Patel who felt that company, Swami's advice, Swami's guidance, Vijay Sai handled all the over 4 months, 2 days in a month, and we could see many aspects of how hard Swami works on each and every one of us. And that is why Sadguru keeps telling us, what is most important is not your work. Most important for important. That is why me being what he is, he enlightened us, especially these boys who attended, very, very fortunate. And they can show gratitude is to choose to live for God. Exercise your right to live for, realizing the right to live for God, right to serve God, boys and girls live up to this ideal of choosing to live for God all their lives. With these words, I conclude. Thank you very much. Sairam to you.